I'm Angelo Robles, founder and chairman of Family Office Association. My podcast is Effective Family Office, and my book, Effective Family Office Best Practices and Beyond, just released. We hope you have a chance to learn a little bit more and hopefully purchase. I'm joined today by Mark Haltsema, advisor to global single-family offices.
Thank you for having me, Angelo. As we were discussing just the other day about talent in the family office, I think that is a subject that is on the top of the minds of every family office executive and the advisors to family offices about how one sources and evaluates talent.
Wow. I mean, what else is more important than having the right people? And the right people is not always the best per their pedigree per se. So there's lots of different directions I could go with your question. This alone is a multi-hour podcast, but we're not going to have that amount of time, Mark. So what I'm going to do, and we're going to have a little back and forth, since you asked, I'm going to talk a little bit about, and I've done podcasts on this before, what could be the fallacy of quote-unquote A players. Now, I'd like to give full credit in my backyard here in Connecticut, Jeff Hunter, the founder and chairman of Talentism, great blog, great company. We highly encourage you to take a look and learn at some of the great work that he's doing and his amazing background. And certainly some of the things that he writes and talks about are philosophies that I've believed in, and a little back and forth on how it's unique to the world of the single family office, which is in of itself a very unique organization. It's not truly a for-profit organization. It's not non-for-profit. It's a single family office. It's very unique. So henceforth, the whole concept of quote-unquote, for some families, well, we need A players. And I was on that philosophy myself. And in general, I want to hire really good people. So I kind of want A players, but I think when we hear that concept, I want an A player, it means certain things to certain people. First of all, I need to have everything else around that really tight. What's our vision? What's our mission? Do we have boards and committees? Do we have the right structure? Do I have a compelling vision of what our family office is going to be? And do I have some of the constitution around it and some process to an outcome? Mm-hmm. Of course, engaging the CEO, the chief of staff, and others that are central within the family office. But there's certain traits that I need. I need of good character. I need someone who has ethics and morals, and someone that believes in the concept of we're in this together of unity and trust. And I want them to be competent, of course, at the skill they have, but do I really need them to be the best of the best, a so-called A player? So there's a couple of challenges within that. First of all, could I? You probably could, but do you really want to afford what that may cost? Relative to your goals, you already won. You're $100 million plus family, $1 billion, $10 billion plus. To some degree, it's a wealth preservation game. So there's certain personalities as well. You want to have leadership and culture in your family office, which probably is under 20 or 30 employees. There's some that are much bigger, absolutely. But the more intimate an organization, the more valuable in that small group culture becomes. And sometimes, maybe more so in the investing arena, that so-called A++ player may have a little bit of an ego, may work a little bit or go to their own music, and maybe not be a good cultural fit, quote unquote, inside how unique a single family office is. Also, you're taking that person who may be great in their technical ability, and you're now bringing them into a silo, an island that's your single family office. Do you have enough legal, accounting, or investment work to keep them busy and to keep it fresh for them? You might be better off, they're great, you identified them, leave them in their current environment, pay for them, quote unquote, outsource or working with your family office to service that relationship as needed. And maybe they keep a little sharper because it's not just you, the $10 billion family. There's others like you that they're dealing with around the world, and they get more of a global perspective. They keep sharp about new trends that are going on that they could bring in to what you need them for, as opposed to closing them off to some degree within a family office may not necessarily be a good thing. And do you have the resources they need that they may have now working for even a giant institution or even one with 100 or 200 employees, and now they're not going to maybe have the same resources they had before? Also, and Jeff Hunter talks about this like no one, what's the context that made them an A player? It may be very different if they go to work in your SFO than it was in the context that made them quote unquote successful. And at the stage they're at now in their career, is this like where they're wrapping up the last 10 years of their job on cruise control? Oh, that's a little bit extreme and a little bit negative, but for some, that may possibly be the case. But just simply even ignoring that, you're taking what's the context that made them successful, and why is that going to continue? If you're paying them premium dollar, bringing them into your culture, that's going to work for you. So those are the challenges that I have with quote unquote the A player, because in theory, you could access it, because you have the wealth and resources via outsourcing. I don't know if you need to have that person, maybe you do, but I don't know if you need to have them internal. But I'd like to reverse the question a little bit to you, or based on my feedback, what do you think broadly about top talent in the family office and bringing in outsiders that are top 1% in what they do into your culture? Mark has deep global and international experiences and lived ashore from the U.S. for decades, so his perspective will be fantastic as well.
Thank you, Angelo. I definitely have some views about outsourcing tremendous talent for families. I think everything you just said about the value of having an external advisor, an A player that advises the family from outside rather than inside, has a number of benefits. One, discretion. In addition to confidentiality and experience, having an A player, an outside advisor that maintains confidentiality and discretion, I think is incredibly important. But even more important than that, again, we've talked many times about how family offices oftentimes operate in a informational silo and are somewhat closeted from different viewpoints. They rely on their internal staff, and that's very good and that's very important. But having an A player, or an A player that's right for a family, okay, it may be an A player generally, but more importantly, how does that advisor work with this particular family? And that comes down to chemistry, obviously. But having that external person as a sounding board and as a resource for the family to bounce ideas, to do a sound check, if you will, on their policies, their procedures, their direction, their strategy, their cohesion, all that, you're going to get, frankly, you're going to get more of that outside than you're going to get inside. And it works well for the advisor as well. He or she may very well want to maintain that independence and that flexibility to work for a number of families. So I think it's actually, in some ways, a win-win situation for both the family and for the advisor to maintain a certain arm's length, a certain perspective on the family and the family office and the people working within the family. I think, too, certain younger family members, and we've heard conversations for years about how younger family members don't really trust the same advisors or want the same advisors that the parents have had. I think from the A player, outside advisor perspective, maintaining that perspective gives them an opportunity to build trust with the next generation. So there are a number of factors at play here, but I think using outside talent to the best ability for the family, in alignment with their mission, their vision, their strategy, is absolutely critical.
Well, certainly, as Jim Collins states, the legendary author, you want to get the right people on the bus, and maybe more importantly, the wrong people off the bus. But that does not necessarily mean the person that's the most talented per se for the given skill that they're doing. Now more than ever, we could, especially a wealthy family, could identify, this person is great on this global tax issue. This person is great on this specific investment issue. You may not have enough consistent work to desire to bring that person in. And we already spoke about that. What you really need, and I know I'm pounding it home, but again, having done this for years and know so many different families, and I know the outside world, the McKinseys and others take a look and say, there's some things about those single family offices that I don't get. And I hear where they're coming from. But this is such a unique perspective. It's not a for-profit company per se, the single family office, but it's not a not-for-profit. It's really, really unique. The family already hit the jackpot. They're already incredibly wealthy. It's about control, it's about privacy, and working with people internally that have their back, that are loyal, that are talented, at least in their own way. And we didn't even get into, but we spoke about it in prior communication, actually that word. They're communicators. They have a role. They're incredibly good at being trustworthy in servicing that role and that communication with the family, so the family knows exactly what's going on. They're not looking to be a cowboy and looking to go off the reservation and do things that are going to get the family in any kind of trouble in any way. Right. That is incredibly important within the single family office community.
Absolutely. I mean, the experience and the perspective that the person who's on his A game brings to the family office is incredibly important. And I think, frankly, the family benefits from the fact that you've got this trusted advisor, this chief of staff, whatever role this person is playing externally for the family. He or she sees an awful lot of different perspectives, different families, and can bring to bear that wisdom. And there's a great word that I think families probably look for in their advisor, is some wisdom, okay? The advisor has worked overseas, has worked with big firms, has seen lots of different family offices, has seen different cultures, and can bring that collective experience and that collective background on behalf of the family. I think that's incredibly valuable. So my advice to families is don't go and try and hire the A player. Use the person who's on her or his A game on your behalf. I think that's a much more sustainable relationship between the family and the advisor.
Indeed, and a little bit related to that, your single family office may be mediocre at the moment, depending on how you define that. That may not be on the talent that is specifically there now. It's on your internal controls, the leadership and culture that's being developed, including with the family, not just the quote unquote, the leader of the SFO, and the processes to outcomes. Meaning you may have some of the right people there now to go from being average or good to being much better within the confines of doing some level of outsourcing. But a lot of that's going to come down to, again, the blocking and tackling of the right compelling vision, the right culture that's developed, and some level of protocol to get to process to outcome that you want. It's not all on the SFO executive. They need a level of direction from the family, of coaching to some degree, and getting on the same page so it becomes a wonderful organization is not necessarily you blowing it up and starting anew. I'm Angelo Robles, founder and chairman of Family Office Association. Effective Family Office is my podcast, and my book of the same name, Effective Family Office. We hope you enjoyed our video podcast and our series of video podcasts as well. You can reach out to me directly at angelo@angelorobles.com or through Family Office Association, angelo@familyofficeassociation.com, or for some of you, perhaps easier, simply on social media, where we maintain, like Mark, an active LinkedIn presence, as well as Twitter. So reach out to us on YouTube and on Twitter. We are very simply Family Office. Thank you very much.